betelnut chewing now a risk. PNGDF ramps up border patrols. And Grand Chief Sir Michael says support government efforts.
This is the National EMTV News with Jeremy Moggy.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Monday's news. PNG's much-loved nut, the betelnut, is now being discouraged by state authorities. Police Minister Brian Kremer says though the nut is valued in PNG communities, for now it poses a high risk of transmitting the COVID-19 virus. Kremer and state authorities will continue the ban, and he has asked the public to stop the selling and chewing of the nut.
To COVID-19.
Speaking this morning at the Morata House, the police minister says though the focus of the National Operations Center is not centered on the ban on betelnut, police and authorities will be ensuring the nut is not sold or transported between provinces. Minister Kremer says the nut is known for its public relations and poses threats to the rule of social distancing and public gathering.
When there was a order given to ban buai, it was not a priority of NOC 19 to enforce the buai ban. Our focus was to establish our structures and systems before we would give it effect.
Since the first COVID-19 case was announced in the country, preventive measures such as regular washing of hands, social distancing and restrictions in people movement have been emphasized by authorities. The police minister says for now betelnut has no value as it poses high risk of transmission given the attitude of chewers. Minister Kremer discouraged the public not to chew, sell or distribute the nut.
And so buai provides a higher risk of community transition. So during this period we're asking members of the public that we ask you to stop eating buai because you are only providing an opportunity to spread COVID-19 and creating a higher risk to yourself and your family.
With the state of emergency into its second week, police and other agencies will continue mending provincial borders. A number of serving parliamentary leaders have raised concerns of the betelnut trade and its economic impact since the lockdown. However, the police minister says people's health cannot be jeopardized given the high risk of transmission betelnut can cause.
Step-ups on shutting down buai will continue. We're asking the support of members of the public. If they will only move buai if you buy it. If no one is buying buai, then the market will stop. So there is concerns raised by some members of Parliament and concern as an income, but again, it's not at the risk of putting our people health at risk by promoting buai. It serves no real purpose during this time. It's a critical time of risk, concerns on our public safety, and that is our priority.
Jack Lapava Jr., National EMTV News.
72 bags of betelnut confiscated on Sunday by the Port Moresby Water Police has been disposed of into the sea. A crew of 6 men have been locked up after a high-speed sea chase and had their boats confiscated as part of the state of emergency. The 2-week lockdown includes a total ban of betelnut trading.
These dinghies were chased down by the water police at around midday on Sunday by the 2 police patrol vessels, PPV Manning and PPV Duang. Acting Director of Water Police Chief Inspector John Bana-Koiri said it was through a routine check that they caught the suspects.
Suspects behind us, we caught them off LNG terminal during our normal routine operations where we check the exclusion zone for illegal fishers or illegal fishermen, but one thing we're also checking for contraband.
Chief Inspector Bana-Koiri said the coastal community also helped to alert the police.
Today this is evidence of what we've been able to do when we also have help from the community. We're also not just on the land, on the water, but we're also doing shoreside patrols all the way up to Lealea, and the community there has been, community along the route has been very welcoming to us.
The 3 boats hauled a total of 72 bags of betelnut and mustard, with an estimated street value worth over 72,000 kina. The contraband was cased inside 10 kg rice bags and 50 kg stock feed bags. One of the crew members, who identified himself as Andy Patrick, came all the way from the hinterlands of Minyama in the Morobe province, hoping to profit from the lockdown, but instead got caught with his accomplices from Kerema and Hanwabada.
Blow minama mi black. Mi boy mixira. Mi black am koran la gas na. Kalablo dingi na all. Anu bada boys from them. Slow mangi one them black at. Low lo dingi blow nam black. So boy mi garika mi nidim rice all. Rice na oil no megi give na mi garika am lo disla.
The government's ban on Betelnut during the lockdown is an awareness on community transmission of COVID-19.
Buai provides a higher risk of community transition. So during this period, we're asking members of the public that we ask you to stop eating buai because you are only providing an opportunity to spread COVID-19.
Despite the arrest of the 6 men, OIC of Water Police Senior Sergeant Justus Baupo says boat skippers are cunning and remain persistent on profiting from the COVID-19 lockdown.
According to source, we have 10 to 15 plus boats. We have eyes and ears of good people out there who are doing the wrong thing by advising these people that the police boats are out there. So don't come in. Probably within the cover of darkness, they are probably waiting for that.
The 72 bags of betelnut and mustard confiscated yesterday from the 3 dinghies are now being disposed back into the sea. Police patrol vessels PPV Manning and PPV Baki 2 were tasked to throw the betelnut overboard, and as we looked on, slowly but surely, all the betelnut sank into the sea. Freli Sukina National, EMTV News.
Police Minister Brian Kramer says a new shipping schedule or protocol will be implemented soon following reports of shipping vessels that have been denied docking. Earlier today, Kramer announced strict measures on shipping vessels, including those on board. The police minister says this is to know every detail of vessels bound for PNG waters and to embrace preventative measures against the transmission of COVID-19.
The shipping industry, after some discussion with some of the members, they will put together a schedule that will be operated or managed out of our NOC 19, so we can see in real time all the ships that are coming into PNG, their estimated time of arrival as well as their estimated time of departure. In that way, we can avoid any issues or disruptions in shipping in our ports. And the importance of those ports is because they bring in foods and essential supplies to allow this country to keep operating. So we'll also be discussing with members of the shipping industry about an introduction of a new system where it is no contact. So as ships pull up in our ports, not a single person will be on those ships will leave the ship or have any contact with anyone at our ports, and to avoid any risk of transmission of COVID-19 in PNG.
With a 14-day state of emergency lockdown taking its toll on citizens nationwide, the Papua New Guinea Defence Force is ramping up activities on its border patrols along the PNG-Indonesia borders. An all-encompassing statement of PNG Defence Force's planning and preparations was given by the Acting Chief of Force Preparations, Colonel Larry Oppa, in a dialogue with the media earlier today.
Given the establishment of PNGDF's COVID-19 task force team recently, the planning and preparations enhances the force's capacity to support the country's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and coordinate its efforts in line with what the National Department of Health have already in place.
The efforts of our planning and preparation is firstly aimed at protecting our families and ourselves, and that includes all our men who are deployed to the borders, as well as those on maritime patrols, including those on overseas training and courses. The main purpose of the task force is to ensure that those preventative measures in particular are enforced right throughout all the establishments throughout the country. So that has been the main effort, and one of the key activities that we've been conducting over the last 2 weeks is the awareness of the COVID pandemic.
Articulating the course of its planning and preparations, PNGDF has conducted a changeover of troops along PNG's land borders.
We've started that last Thursday and completed the changeovers yesterday. This includes the changeover of troops conducting tasks up in the highlands. So that's been completed, and we now have new troops on the ground. Those who have returned, we have also ensured that we put them through a screening, and they've answered questions. So we are enforcing our own self-isolation for our troops within the units to conform to the requirements that have been articulated by the National Department of Health Committee.
Confirming the recent deployment and stationing of troops along the PNG-Indonesia borders.
We have specific areas along the border that we have troops at. In Vanimo, we have troops up in Wutung. We have troops in Bewani and Skotio. And we conduct patrols all the way down to Green River. In the southern border, we have troops in Kiunga, who look after from Tabubil. We have troops in Wiam and also in Daru.
Adding that PNGDF is aware of issues at the borders and are ramping up activities with the support of the Australian Defence Force, and if required, troops will be sent in for reinforcement.
And there are still some activities which we are monitoring, and for us, we are preparing ourselves along with our Australian colleagues who have been providing advice and assistance to our planning team. And we are preparing enhancing our capacity to assist the national effort.
Anet Kora, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister James Marape says those who cross the land border to Indonesia will be arrested and charged. His statement comes as vanilla sellers in West Sepik continue to cross the shared border with Indonesia to sell their crop. And this comes amid reports that West Papua has seen its first death from COVID-19 as Indonesia battles to contain the spread of the virus. Prime Minister Marape said Indonesia will be allowed to arrest and imprison those who illegally cross during the state of emergency. Meanwhile, when Parliament resumes on Thursday, the emergency bill introduced will allow for the deployment of PNGDF and police for border protection.
And especially the vanilla traders up north in Vanimo and down south, for whatever reason, you'll go along Indonesia border, go on the other side. Sometimes tomorrow, I'll be speaking with the President of Indonesia. I've also spoken with the Prime Minister of Australia, so our joint international borders will be given a step-up protection on our side as well as on the other side. So Papua New Guineans, as your Prime Minister, I will be speaking without fear or favor. Any one of you who want to cross to the other side, our government has made it illegal already, and if you're going on the other side, the police on the other side pick you up and lock you, don't cry to our government asking for you to be bailed out there. I'll be asking police and immigration and customs in Indonesia, police and customs and immigration in Australia also to tighten our borders in the waters as well as the land border on the other side. So it's a warning again to Papua New Guineans. You are causing our country to be endangered by coronavirus because of your continual movement if you are moving. We've already dispatched police and soldiers to the south side as well as to the north side. We will police these borders. But, you know, people do evade police borders and they do sometimes take the risk and travel on the other side. You're now doing it at your own peril. I'll be asking my counterpart, the President of Indonesia, and I will also be asking my counterpart, the Prime Minister of Australia, to ensure that the borders are policed. And if there are illegal crossing at this time of coronavirus, I will be giving them approval to lock Papua New Guineans on the other side, as I will be locking Indonesians or Australians if anyone crossing illegally on our side. And those Papua New Guineans who are found to attempt to cross illegally or crossing illegally on our side, there will be imprisonment awaited for them as we work to penalize them.
The National Capital District Commission has received the first supply of personal protection equipment. NCD Governor Paul Pakop says these PPEs are for frontline workers, especially health officers. The NCDC has released nearly $500,000 to purchase the PPE from supplier Sesago. Meanwhile, Governor Pakop is urging people to keep off the streets, limit movement, and practice social distancing.
That it is not easy. It is not easy. Our people need to understand this. Our medical team and capacity will be very stretched if we go to an outbreak. It will be very stretched. It probably, and maybe we should acknowledge that we can cope. So our key strategy should be prevention. But I can see you all our people helping us to prevent. So on our part too, we will put all the effort to, preparing for a medical response in the worst case scenario. Because I can see our people doing their part.
East New Britain province is still under surveillance as the lockdown drags into week 2. PMVs, fast food outlets, markets and other heavily congregated areas have been monitored by the police with no hints of trouble. Police have set up roadblocks at entry points leading into Kokopo and Rabaul towns to monitor people and vehicles moving in and out of the town areas. Vehicles that are carrying people exceeding 4 are either prevented entry into the town or are ordered to remove some passengers. Meanwhile, major supermarkets have remained opened and closed at 2 p.m. every day. The public are also discouraged to engage in unnecessary movement into town. Also in East New Britain, former health workers have been tasked to register themselves in preparation for a possible mass call in light of COVID-19. The announcement was made by Provincial State of Emergency Controller Wilson Matava. Nurses, dispensers, technical staff and community health workers are encouraged to visit the nearest health facility to register themselves. This call comes following the lockdown and shortage of health workers in the province to carry out adequate health checks. The Nonga General Hospital is taking in the lead to assist in locating the former health workers to prepare them for a possible re-engagement. The health workers registration opened today and will end on April the 2nd. Founding Father and former Prime Minister Sir Michael Somare is appealing to East Sepik people to adhere to government and health directions during the state of emergency. Not revealing much of his health, but the former East Sepik Governor and Prime Minister says with one positive case, people must exercise good hygiene, limit movement and do simple methods like washing of hands. Sir Michael posted a video in the East Sepik development page on Facebook.
Namilagim people speak. Aram talk long governor, Aram talk long leaders, he talk people want something, you will be in. Or it tumble long on him, you walk him. Miss Abba, you plus got market long Irian Jaya, you will like Irian Jaya all time. Doesn't mean like him, you plus stop him. Nami, one the family will be started so long house. So Nami talks about people must have good talk now. Government like him want something, stop him, you know, can walk in a walk. Time only limapin ta sa tambo finish or you can go back and walk. Alright, then to so we talk me, we talk also that's la coronavirus a big plus something true. All the country is in background.
This is EMTV National News. Preparations in Ley and Mount Hagen against the deadly virus. When we come back, stay with us. Welcome back to the news. The Morobe Emergency Operations Center, MPEOC, has announced tighter restrictions on the movement of people to discourage large gatherings and encourage social distancing. Now, the restrictions came into effect at midnight and include restrictions to trading hours for shops and PMVs. Ley City has been the center of attention after the first reported COVID-19 case.
Through the 14-day lockdown, the Morobe Provincial Emergency Centre is introducing further cautionary measures to prevent the possible spread of COVID-19.
I'd like to really ask your cooperation in these trying times. Now I'm time nungod. Me ask him straight cooperation, please. Nungod biyan si kamap na pudaw na bayiplogra kirap na blame him government again. Now government mipla tokuya haram tok blom mipla.
Although there's been no report of local transmission, initial measures put in place have had limited effect.
Inside of PMV2, mi lugim planti mansin ang pas lo PMV. This la ino good pla. You blow masina at least 1.5 or 2 meters away from each other. Round all yan walkabout lo town na siga nating. This la too much stop.
As of 5 p.m. this afternoon, police will be enforcing restrictions to trading hours for shops, PMVs, fuel stations, churches and other activities.
We've seen so many people still walking around in town, still mingling together, and that's basically what we wanted to do, to try and discourage this passing social gathering. So we shouldn't be doing that. You must harm talk, now making something straight, then until we get all the clear from the government, from the hospital through the government, and then we can then go back into our normal day-to-day lives.
All shops and trade stores will be expected to shut down by 5 p.m. every day from here on. PMVs and fuel stations are to stop operating at 6 p.m. daily, and from tomorrow onwards, PMVs will be allowed a maximum of 15 passengers to ensure there is enough space for social distancing. All retail sale of alcohol remain banned during this lockdown. The Provincial Health Authority is reinforcing its message of social distancing and hygiene as health teams continue with awareness programs. Scott Whitey, National EMTV News, Leh.
Shopping centres in Leh have introduced preventative measures for the health and safety of their customers and employees amid the COVID-19 coronavirus outbreak. Customers and employees hand sanitizing, disinfecting surfaces and maintaining social distancing are some of the preventative measures carried out by the shops during the 14-day lockdown in the city. The precautionary measures are being conducted from 8 in the morning to 5 p.m. daily.
Big V is one of the busy shopping centre in Leh's Top Town area. It's one of the shops in the city that's providing free hand sanitizing at the entrance for customers, security guards attending to the door and their employees as well. The maintaining of social distancing and its employees' protection is also one of the preventive measures undertaken by the management.
And they come, it's safe for them, as well it's safe for us and our staff, because then our staff could contract the disease and pass it on to their families, and it goes on like that. So this is the reason why the management has actually asked us to make sure we implement this protective measures inside the store. Let safeguard them workman, Blami player, SVS, Big View staff, and as well our customers.
And then after 30 minutes, 1 hour, one of our cleaners sanitize all the cashier machines. Yeah.
Another shop also practicing the preventive measures for customers and its employees is the popular Situquis Food Mart supermarket located in Leh's Town area. 2 sets of double sinks are being set up outside the shop with disinfectant liquid soap for customers to wash their hands with before entering the shop.
But those are basic things. How long? These are something that come up and confused because plenty of big news outside make him panic. But thank you, especially for putting washing man some steps to go forward long. How long go back because
meeting was good more long. All the stones need low Christian.
It's a wonderful initiative by Food Mart and Situquis. They've taken the initiative to care for their customers' health and also their well-being.
If the customers are in a hurry and enter the shop without washing their hands, they are given free hand sanitizing at the entrance inside the shop. Disinfecting the surfaces of shopping baskets, trolleys and the cash register areas are also part of the shop's daily operation during the 14 days lockdown in the city. The COVID-19 preventive measures set by the government and health authorities follows the first positive COVID-19 case in Leh of a foreign mine worker who was airlifted out of the country last week. Lae is one of the districts in the country that's working shoulder to shoulder, including Lae City Authority, Morobe Provincial Health Authority, police, and other stakeholders to control infection and spread of the virus. Julie Badui, OA, National EMTV News, Lae.
As Papua New Guineans are bracing to face reality if the country has an outbreak of coronavirus, the existing health problems are a burden that worries most health workers. In the Western Highlands province, the Provincial Health Authority is encouraging people to practice proper hygiene and social distancing. The WHPHA's Public Health Director, Benson Safi, warns that Mount Hagen General Hospital has limited hospital beds, equipment, funding, and health workers to work in a crisis.
Despite being one of the former referral hospitals in the country, Mount Hagen General Hospital has only 5 beds in the intensive care unit or ICU with just 1 ventilator. The Provincial Health Authority's Public Health Director Benson Safi says Western Highlanders need to take precautionary measures seriously to avoid getting sick during this time.
One machine, also called ventilator. Em lo giving win lo mania. Em tasol mi plaka. Mi play inogat enough lo kisi hamas plus sick man time only go start lo critical lo help mo lo puli win.
The 3 district hospitals in the province are currently run down with only outpatient services operating. Tinsley Hospital in Mulbaya Electorate has been closed for more than 10 years, forcing at least more than 20,000 people to flock to Mount Hagen Hospital. Tambul District Hospital in Tambul Nebilia Electorate is currently under renovation and reconstruction. Hagen Open Electorate does not have its own district hospital, not even a health center. The Kotna District Hospital in Day Electorate is open but does not have health staff due to tribal fighting.
Problem, social problem, economic problem, and problem lifestyle country.
During a recent awareness campaign in Day Electorate about coronavirus or COVID-19, local councillors, LLG presidents and public servants urged the provincial government and the 4 local MPs to work together to fight COVID-19 before it's too late. The province has a provincial COVID-19 task force committee that will lead the campaigns, preparedness and the response of the virus. However, it does not have any funding support from the provincial and local MPs.
Day district yupla radio se yupla tripla LLG radio se yupla gat big pla maslo tokos. Akam sta konti plana toki pla wana something emi threat now lo mipla.
Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
We'll take a short break. More on the coronavirus when we return. You're watching Monday's news. Turning overseas, Australia is continuing its gradual move towards a full shutdown with new restrictions coming into effect tonight. Among the new rules, public gatherings will now be limited to 2 people.
Australia's in hibernation. Once popular hangouts like the beach and the mall are now a no-go. The country restricting public social gatherings to 2 people, excluding the so-called family bubble.
In addition, in public areas, public playgrounds, outside gyms and skate parks will be closed.
And those over 70 are being told to self-isolate. Thousands of returning cruise ship passengers are being held in hotels for 14 days.
Are you ready to quarantine whole family in one room? It's going to be interesting.
To me, this is creating more infection spread.
The Army deployed to make sure those quarantined follow the rules. There are 200 cases linked to the Ruby Princess alone. Today, 3 cruise members were taken to a Sydney hospital, 1 in a critical condition. Police reminding returnees isolation will be enforced.
And if they in any way try to avoid that, they run the risk of an $11,000 fine and a 6-month jail term. This is how serious it has got.
Some taking it in their stride.
is the hotel room, which is not too bad, but I can't leave for 14 days. They've taken my keys, so it's me in this room for 14 days.
Officials already seeing results as the number of new cases daily drops.
This time last week, the rate of increase on cases was up around 25 to 30% a day. That rate now, over the last few days, has fallen to about 13 to 15%.
The last scheduled international Qantas flight has landed in Sydney. Australia now shutting down so it can hopefully take off again soon.
A leading virus expert in America has warned the U.S. could see up to 200,000 Americans die. And that's prompted President Trump to extend the country's COVID-19 guidelines to stop the spread. Here's the latest from around the world.
Wuhan slowly returning to a new normal. People can go outside, but hazmat suits and thermal scanners are common. The rest of the world, though, continuing to shut down. Moscow, the latest to empty its streets. The US remains a hotbed with the most cases worldwide. Today, its government's leading expert predicting up to 200,000 Americans could die.
What we're trying to do is not let that happen. The modeling estimates that the peak in death rate is likely to hit in 2 weeks.
New York, Detroit and New Orleans all warning they're running low on medical supplies.
We think it's about the 4th or 5th of April before down in the New Orleans area we're unable to put people on ventilators who need them, and then several days later we will be out of bed.
The National Guard's being used in some areas to track any New Yorkers trying to flee the virus hot zone. Italy had another 700 deaths overnight and is now relying on students fresh out of medical school.
Emergency was here and it's still here, and so I'm here to get my contribution, my little contribution, and help my colleagues.
Its deadliest day now overtaken by Spain with more than 800. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez announcing Spaniards will stay in lockdown until next week. Elsewhere today, India's Prime Minister is asking for forgiveness. Tens of thousands of migrant workers forced to return to their villages when a shutdown was brought in with just 4 hours' notice.
People are worried about how to survive and how to reach a home and where to sleep.
With the country's railway network only open to essential workers, some had a 200-kilometre walk home. Walkers in Wuhan slowly filling streets around the province, those in lockdown around the globe looking forward to similar scenes in their own city.
Amidst the pandemic, National Disability Day was commemorated today. This day, a very special day and valued by each and every member of the disability communities. Although no big event could be held, they had something to say.
The National Disability Day was commemorated today under the theme Empowering Persons with Disability for Equality and Meaningful Participation in the Society. This is an important day for persons with disabilities because it brings together many voices teamed up to empower, embrace, and engage the disability space.
In the middle of this unanticipated period of alarming fear of COVID-19, nothing may stop us from acknowledging the National Disability Day and its importance.
They called on the relevant government authorities to take up some stand in their basic needs.
Must increase institution, resource center, inclusive education for children, protection, safe home for it, creating jobs for PWDs, economic sustainability for PWDs. By the law, or according to the law, states through its relevant authorities must significant protection to the PWDs by the law. Stop all forms of violence on PWDs.
They also brought up valid points on protecting the rights of persons with disabilities during COVID-19. Having a disability may not by itself put them at higher risk of infection, but they are in danger due to discrimination and barriers to information, social services, health care, social inclusion, and education.
The most important thing that the government
may be able to prioritize as soon as possible is to protect people with disabilities during the coronavirus pandemic, and also to consult them regularly to make sure policies meet their needs.
Lilian Soperakinea, National, EMTV News.
PNGDF Association President Josh Yembo spoke out to the media today, representing persons with disabilities, in regards to a recent social media post that appeared to mock a sign language interpreter. Inclusiveness is an important part for such big updates by the government, and having the interpreter there helps him and many others understand the latest updates on COVID-19. He says this is discrimination against the only language he can use.
Very disturbing for me, for my person. Sign language, it's my language right. Discrimination against my language, respect my language. Sign language, like any other language, is a language on its own right. And if in Papua New Guinea, nobody has the right to discriminate my language.
The National Agriculture Quarantine and Inspection Authority will be setting up quarantine facilities in various ports to monitor shipments coming into the country. Agriculture Minister John Simon made this announcement in a media conference recently. He also announced plans to establish a task force to monitor fake products entering the country.
According to the Agriculture Minister, the first quarantine facility is now under construction at Roku outside Port Moresby. These quarantine facilities will pave way for the government to import livestock to breed in the country. The minister said there are plans to build more facilities in Lake Daru and Wewak.
And we are trying to build one at Roku, which we are working on it now. So as soon as we build one in Roku, we want to build another one in Daru, another one in Ley, and one in Wewak. That's when we will start bringing in livestock. That is livestock for breeding.
Recently, there have been reports of fake products being found in many shops in the country. And with many diseases affecting plants and animals in the country, there is a need to monitor shipments of containers coming into the country. According to the minister, a task force team, which comprises of members from Nakia, Customs and ICCC, will be established to monitor shipments. The task force team will also be visiting different provinces to remove fake products in shops. He said fake products entering the country could be the cause of the diseases affecting plants and animals.
We are calling upon customs and PNG ports and other relevant agencies to work with our team, to work together, so we can prevent some of these diseases from coming into our country.
However, funding constraints and limited staff are some issues affecting the work of Nakia. According to the minister, there are not many staff checking containers at ports, and there is a need to recruit more. The minister said Nakia is a very important government agency and must be funded.
Nakia gives a lot of time, budget, figures, but they continue to reduce it and not to support it. So this is, Nakia is a very, very important organization in this country in terms of health and belonging human beings. Nakia is for plant and animals. Our coffee, our cocoa, our coconut.
But there are plans to recruit more staffs and build new Nakia facilities at different ports to check shipments. The minister said this will enable Nakia to do proper checks on containers to prevent fake products from entering the country. He further appeals to all shops to remove fake products they may have in their shops.
We need to build a quarantine yard for Nakia, a bone yard. So every container that is suspected that's coming in, it has to go to that bone yard. And it has to be unloaded there. Everything needs to be removed from the containers so you can basically see what's inside the container.
Rayon Lakingu, National, EMTV News.
Chukai Sports is next. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The NRL is delivering a $40 million rescue package to the 16 Telstra Premiership clubs to help them cope with the financial impact of the global coronavirus pandemic. The clubs are content, but battle lines are being drawn between the NRL and its players.
The league's chiefs have held conference calls throughout the afternoon with bosses of all 16 clubs and player representatives. The NRL has agreed to hand out more than $40 million in emergency funding to the clubs, around $2.5 million each in monthly instalments. It's designed to help clubs survive even if there's no resumption of play this year. But the boss of the Warriors concedes it may not be enough.
In a nutshell, it won't be, but we're just going to look at different models and how we shape our business going forward. And we're doing that now. We've done that in the last week, and we'll continue to look at ways to do that.
The NRL has also devised a plan to reduce its operating costs by more than 50% with a heavy reduction in staff. But while the clubs are happy, it's being reported the players are far from it. It's claimed the NRL hasn't paid its annual packet to the Players' Retirement Fund, resulting in a $13 million hole. While they're next now expected to take a pay cut of at least 50%, the players are reportedly furious and have even discussed the possibility of a revolt. Despite all this, ARLC Chairman Peter V'landys is still hopeful of a resumption to the season by July.
More stories after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The New Zealand provincial rugby season will be without a Heartland Championship this year as the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic continues to be felt. This extraordinary development comes at a time when New Zealand rugby is attempting to hold its competitions into the final months of the year.
Scenes like this have long defined the spirit of rugby in this country. The Meads and Lahore Cups have become emblematic of sport in the regions. But One News can confirm that the 12 Heartland provinces have offered not to run their competition this season in return for guarantees it will return in 2021.
We know to get through this year and maybe beyond that we're going to have people sharing in the pain around these challenges, and we're going to have people that are focused on doing what is right for rugby right across the country at all levels, and this is just an outstanding show of leadership in that regard.
Although a blow to the grassroots game, the move allows the smaller provinces to focus on their local clubs. New Zealand Rugby, meanwhile, faces a growing rift between the private licensees of Super Rugby and its top-flight Mitre 10 Cup provinces. The Super Rugby clubs want precedence if rugby is to return this season. The provinces say they are the key stakeholders and they should be put first. Well, New Zealand Rugby really does find itself in a no-win situation. They will struggle to support the super clubs financially, and even if they see Super Rugby as the right option for a return to play, they're constitutionally bound to the provincial unions. Expect that battle to intensify over the coming weeks. It was a distinctly different battle that last stopped a provincial rugby season here. That was in 1916 at the height of World War I. Provincial matches have been played in New Zealand every year after that, and since 1946, every province has fielded a team.
Here they come, the Auckland team to meet the Kiwis. Post-war football has begun.
That 73-year unbroken sequence appears to have finally met its match. Grandstands from Paeroa Domain to Rugby Park in Greymouth set to sit in silence this season. Whether others welcome fans back this year remains to be seen.
You're watching National EMTV News, the weather forecast for the next 24 hours when we come back.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
Weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Port Moresby partly cloudy with a shower or two. Daru and Popondetta cloudy with rain showers. Kerama partly cloudy with a few showers, while Alotau partly cloudy with chances of a few showers. Over to the Momase region, in Lae, cloudy with chances of a shower or two. Madang, cloudy with a chance of a few showers. Wewak, partly cloudy with a shower or two, while Vanimo, cloudy with rain showers. To the New Guinea Islands, in Lorengau, cloudy with thundery showers. Kavieng, partly cloudy with a shower or two. Kokopo and Rabaul with a few showers, while Kimbe and Buka, cloudy with rain showers. And finally, in the Highlands region, across all centers, cloudy with a few showers and drizzles.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
Well, that's been the news, sport and weather for Monday, the 30th of March. Be sure to stay tuned to MTV at midday tomorrow, as well as throughout the day, as we bring you the updates of COVID-19 in PNG. Good night.